Pharaohs, a short story about the pharaohs of Egypt. Long ago, in the beautiful land of Egypt, lived great kings known as the Pharaohs. The pharaohs were powerful and wise rulers who built the pyramids and grand temples, decorating their cities with art and magnificent statues. Among these kings was King Tutankhamun, who ruled Egypt at a young age and became famous after the discovery of his tomb filled with priceless treasures. There was also Queen Hatshepsut, who ruled Egypt with wisdom and achieved great accomplishments in trade and construction. Each pharaoh had their own story, but what united them all was their love for Egypt and their belief in many gods, such as Ra, the sun god, and Osiris, the god of the afterlife. Dad, can you tell me about the pharaohs of Egypt? David. Of course, Jack. Do you know that the pharaohs were like the kings and princes in fairy tales, but they were real? Jack. Really? What did they do? David. They ruled Egypt and built the pyramids and temples. They were interested in science, art, and architecture. Jack. Was there a special pharaoh? David. Yes, for example, King Tutankhamun, who ruled Egypt as a child and became famous after the discovery of his treasure-filled tomb. Also, Queen Hatshepsut, who was one of the few women to rule Egypt and achieved great feats. Jack. Did they have gods? David. Yes, they believed in many gods, like Ra, the sun god, and Osiris, the god of the afterlife. Jack. Wow, it seems the pharaohs were amazing. David. Yes, Jack, their civilization was great and still amazes us today. Jack. Can we visit the pyramids someday? David. Of course, Jack. Visiting the pyramids is an incredible experience. You can see how these magnificent structures were built and learn more about ancient Egyptian civilization. Jack. Did they live in palaces like the kings in stories? David. Yes, they lived in beautiful palaces with gardens and recreation areas. There was also the Nile River, which was the source of life in Egypt, where they farmed and fished. Jack. Were there wars at that time? David. Yes, there were wars. The pharaohs led their armies to protect Egypt from enemies and expand their territories. They also sometimes formed alliances with neighboring countries. Jack. What happened to the pharaohs in the end? David. Over time, the power of the pharaohs began to weaken, and other civilizations came to rule Egypt, but their legacy remains alive today through the pyramids, temples, statues, and treasures that have been discovered. Jack. Thank you, Dad. I learned a lot today. David. You're welcome, Jack. Ancient Egyptian civilization is full of wonderful stories, and the more you learn, the more amazed and impressed you will be. Jack. I can't wait to visit Egypt and see all these things for myself. David. Me too, Jack. It will be an amazing trip full of discoveries.